Hi, my name is Sha, short for Maisha. This is my experience working at a call center. This needs to be said. It needs to be said. It needs to be heard. It really needs to be heard. Now, I don't know why customers do this, but they do it on a regular. How dare you ask me my name again and then just hang up? Why even ask if you're gonna hang up? How dare you ask me how you do it again, even though you've just asked me 4 times and then you hang up? Bro, you could just say bye or conversation done, thanks. Like, how dare you start trying to have a midway conversation and then just hang up? Like, after everything's been resolved, you try to start another conversation and just hang up. Oh, so whereabouts are you? And you hang up. See, because this has happened so many times, I wait. I don't even say, oh yeah, I'm from, I don't, I just wait 2 seconds and then you just hear, like the call has ended. Is this a power trip? Are you calling in to dominate? Are you calling in to dominate? Because it's not working. Like, it's really not working. I'm simply here to get paid. I'm simply here to do my job properly. Like, it's not because it's just so annoying. So this conversation I want to have is kind of a serious one in a way. So this one is basically because there's really no support where I work, and even if you go to them, they're just like, oh, we'll assess you, so we can fire you, if you say the wrong things, type thing. It's so annoying because somebody's just been saying they're about to top themselves, so they're about to kill themselves, and you don't even want to take over the call. You're telling me I should tell them to go somewhere else. It's like, firstly, they're calling in your call center talking about they want to kill themselves only because I know certain things. I can advise customers of this, and I have to tell my team leader these things. I've only had 1 or 2 team leaders that have been willing to take those types of calls. There are people who call in who just want to talk. They just want to talk. A lot of the time, there's a lot of elderly customers that, already know how the system works, called in about it before, but they call in every week at the exact same time for the past, since they've been with the company. And that just proves, like, the older you get, the lonelier you can get, and you just want to communicate with people. Sometimes I'm willing to have those conversations, but due to experiences, I don't want to have those conversations with customers. It's too personal, and I really do have stuff going on myself, and you want to unload everything to me. I can't unload everything to you over this call, because one, my manager's gonna re-listen to this call. Everything you've said, I've said. I can't unload everything to you, so I'm basically just here. And you know what? I've always been that friend. I've always, my whole entire life, I have always been that friend you just go and unload everything to. And it's annoying. It's really fucking annoying, because I've never had a friend that I can unload to. I think there was about 2 people in my life. I tried to. They were just like, you shouldn't be calling me trying to tell me this stuff. Like, I'm not trying to be a friend. I was just like, whoa, okay. I was there for you. Why can't we reciprocate? Anyway, or it was like, listen, it doesn't matter, move on type thing vibe. And it's just like, you know, when you tell me your stuff, I go in depth. Because you're my friend, I go the extra mile to actually try to help you, advise you. And you just give me like 4 words, move on, and you know, move with the vibe. Like, come on. And I think people need to understand, some customers do call in about really, really shocking stuff. Really shocking. You know, so shocking. And then when you try to console them, they're like, do you think you... I know this is going to sound rude, but you do get customers like this. Do you think you trying to console me is going to change the situation? And you're just like, you know, you're right. It's not going to change the situation. But they say I need to get personal on the calls. I've been put so many times in my place working there for getting personal with customers that I just don't do it at all. Because the 1, 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 10, I don't know about you, but it's enough to tell me, just stop. Stick with what the company, stick with why they're calling, and you know, the company basis. Stop trying to get personal, because they're just gonna knock it back in your face. They're not appreciative that you're actually trying to invest and ask them. Now, I'm not gonna do this with every customer, and I'm gonna tell you why. I had this one customer when I first started. So when I first started, I used to mingle, talk, really personal for the first like 6 months I worked there. And then I came to a realization, you know, this isn't helpful for my mental health. You're telling me things and I don't know you. And it's not like I just forget what's happened throughout the day. I don't know any person who does that, okay? I don't do that. And you've told me this. They don't have any support where you can go uphold and talk about it and say, hey, this has happened. They tell you you need to go outsource, not during your contractual hours. And it's like, okay, no problem. I had this one customer who called in and spoke about her life here, and she seemed like she was very isolated, I would say, just by some of the words she was saying, and you know, how she felt, what has happened to her in life. She sounded like she was a woman of color. Yeah, I don't know what they look like, but I'm just saying it because she spoke about racism. And when she spoke about it, she was just like, she's, you know, been affected by it. You have to be careful. She was like, she was trying to tell me in a way of like, you know, like, oh, you know, life isn't that dandy, be careful, that type of way. I don't know if she knows my color. I don't think you can hear color over the phone, to be honest with you. I'm not too sure. Like, if you go like this, do you know the color I am? Like, I don't know. But she was speaking to me about something that happened to her, and that call lasted like an hour and a half. And I thought to myself, this is an hour and a half that I didn't need to know about, but I suppose you felt comfortable enough to express how you felt to me. But I can't keep doing this for people. I can't keep doing it. There is something that these customers do. I feel like it's a thing where I can't really afford therapy. You get paid to sit on a call and talk to people. Let me go and unload on you. No, that's not what my job is for. And I know some people have acceptance toward that. I'm gonna be apologetic and not be apologetic. I cannot and I will not be doing it, because that's crazy. Some of the things that have been said and I've heard over the call is just like, what? People like really that cruel type of thing? Like, do people really go out their way to try and do that? You know, like mothers losing children due to certain situations, fathers going through separations due to certain situations. Like they don't just stick with, oh, I want you to cancel this number, or I want to change this number's name. They tell you the reason behind it. We don't really need to know that. We don't really need to know the reason behind it. I didn't ask. I didn't ask, but they unload, bro. And I just think to myself, I haven't had the training of a therapist, and I truly believe all call centers should have training for this. I know some of you are probably gonna think, what? Why? You get customers that unload, and you know that percentage is in the double figures. Like, that's quite high. It's not like a 1%, 2% thing. It's double figures. That's quite high. They should really train call centers to actually go through that, so they can like assess them properly. They should have these certain third-party outsourced companies for these customers, but companies don't think like that, because at the end of the day, you're calling about your network. We are your network provider. We're not your health provider. Does that make sense? So we're not actually trained to do this. And because I have experience, I used to come out and say it, and it just got pushed back in my face so many times, where I just said, you know what, I'm not trained. You're right. You know, you're calling your network. You're not calling that company. You're not calling that company. You're not calling for advice. You're right. Let me be quiet. So you do. But that, I keep kicking the tripod. Sounds like a helicopter at the same time as the train going past. Weird. But anyway, so what was I saying? Yeah, they really need to invest in that in all call centers, to one, help the agents, two, be able to help the people that they're speaking to if these situations do arise. Like, words they can say, statements they can say, not, oh, try to be empathetic and say something you might want to say. I'm an introvert. I don't want you crying that way. I don't want you to feel my burden. Does that make sense? I don't want you to like just imagine going through what I've gone through. Like, sometimes, yeah, I might just come out with it, express it, and say it how it is, but I'm not gonna go into full depth. I'm just gonna say the open parts where it doesn't feel, you know, too negative to hear. Does that make sense? I've had people cry down the phone to me, like full blown cry, and I'm just like, shit, I don't even know what to say to this. Because why are you crying? I haven't even said anything yet. Are you okay? Like, is everything alright? Is the situation you're in alright? Like, why are you crying? Like, it's weird. Like, you can hear someone crying. Like, you can barely breathe, you know? That type of crying. And it's sniffling everything. And they just don't talk. You try to call back. And then there's just no answer. And then on top of it, if you do try to call back out of courtesy for the customer, that gets docked from your pay. Which is like, yeah, but they're calling in your call center in regards to whatever, and they're crying down the line. And you're telling me you're gonna dock my pay because you told me to be personal. No. To some extent, you can't be personal. You have to be professional. But they tell you be personal. Speak to them like they're your friend. Speak to them like they're your family members, etc. And I think to myself, why? That's weird. Why wouldn't you speak to them in a professional manner? They're calling their network provider, not their friend. Your network provider is never going to be your friend. You are there for a service. They are providing that service, and that is it. Now you're telling the people that you've employed to work there to be their friend under the basis of you must be personal with them to have good customer service. That is not the definition. It is not the definition, and it needs to stop. Please stop it. It's not the definition. You shouldn't be personal when you work at a call center. You should be professional, which is why I keep it formal on all my calls. And I've been brought up about it so many times. They say you have an attitude. They say, oh, you're not asking personal questions. And I'm just like, well, you guys didn't help me when somebody was talking about they wanted to top themselves. You guys didn't give me any advice when somebody is calling in about abuse and what they're going through, or the racism they've gone through, or the hate crimes that they're hearing and that they're expressing themselves about. They're elderly people that are legit just calling in. Well, those calls are simple, but the ones where they're more traumatic to somebody else's health, like, just imagine you've got your first job, you're 18, you work there, and somebody starts talking like that to you. It's crazy. What's that 18-year-old really meant to do if they haven't had the training? They're fresh out of college. Do you get where I'm coming from? They're fresh out of college, and there are people who are 18 that work there, well, 20 that work there, and it's just like, well, what? The only thing they could say is something they might want to hear, which may not be appropriate. There's no training on that. There's no advice on that. There's no assistance with that, really. And when it comes to abusive callers, like I said, there's a man having a wank on the call. There are people busting a shit on the call. There are people screaming, shouting at you, being abusive towards you on the call. They say, oh, the customer's just angry. It's not abusive. They're angry about the situation. You have to deal with it. So what is the abusive pass for? Not an abusive customer, regardless if they're angry about the situation. It doesn't make sense. So what? Anyone can just come, scream and shout, but if we were to retaliate, we're the ones that are going to be in trouble in regards to that matter. Make it make sense to me. There's no actual advice. There's no actual assistance. They will tell you, if somebody is dogging you out, calling out how you sound, your tone, how you are, they will say stay on the call with them and talk it through with them. Stay on the call with them and talk it through with them. Continue the abuse with them and try to calm them down, even though they're still screaming, they're still shouting, and they are meant to take over the call. They aren't taking over the call because a team leader's job is pretty much simple. They barely take calls. They do a lot of meetings. They listen to calls. They live listen. They do up the complaints. They add the credits. They try to stick with live auditing. That is it. That's it. Okay? That is their job role. So when it comes to trying to transfer an abusive customer 3 to 7 days. We're not going to call them back. I've had about 3 hours that are exactly like that. They refuse to call a customer back. Like, they just won't call the customer back at all. Even though, like, I've still got, like, any complaint open. They just don't call back. And who do you really go to complain with if you're the one with the negative rating? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna give you free data if you've had it for 9 months. I'm not gonna credit you back for something you're clearly not due back. Like, I'm not gonna refund it. Let's say, for instance, I had a customer talking about, oh, you owe me a refund of £28, blah blah blah, want it back, and the refund was £7.50. Like, where did this £28 come from? What are you talking about? Make it make sense to me. Where are you getting this calculation from? And this customer was like, I'm owed it, you owe me the credit. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like going back and forth with these customers. If I've explained to you the situation, I'm not gonna lie about it. What for? Like, I've got to do my job properly. Why the hell am I gonna go and lie about it? Make it make sense. Like, another one, the customer's calling in and there's no access for them. They're like, I have access, I'm using the phone now. Yeah, you might be using the number now, but it's not in your name. You haven't got any access unless the person's name grants you access. And they're going back and forth, and I'm just like to them, you're gonna have to just get the account holder to give us a call in. Unfortunately, we're not unable to proceed, because I'm not going back and forth. Like, I had it was like he was a big kid. He sounded like a grown man, husky voice, like deep voice, I should say. And he was just like, oh my gosh. Now that I say this, yeah, there was this Scottish man. He just moved in with his girlfriend type thing. Yeah. And he must have wanted to be the man of the house type of thing. So it sounded like on the calls. I remember this. You know, a strong Scottish accent. Okay. So he was like on the call, oh, I'm looking to do a change of ownership. I was explain the process, we spoke about it, I advised the price. Yeah, I had advised the price of his Mrs. line. He was like, oh, I'm looking to take ownership and pay for her line, but I want a discount. I've been with you for 8 years now. I want a discount on this product. Now, hear what? If you take ownership of an account, of a contract that is already in its contractual time, you have to take it as it is. Now, if that's what you want to do, you're not entitled to any discount. This man was screaming down the line in a Scottish accent, in a firm Scottish accent. So it sounded funny. I am from London. It sounded funny, okay? Because he was this is why it sounded funny. It sounded like he didn't really want to take his missus' line. He didn't really want to pay for her phone. That's what it sounded like, because her phone was like, it was like 100 and something pounds and his was like 30 something pounds, along those lines. Yeah, so he's having like a hissy fit, like, I've been with you for years, give me the credit, I'm not taking over the lines until you give me the discount, I'm not gonna do it. And he was shouting, trying to make his basis like, oh, you're gonna have to give me a discount, I want the discount so I can add it, like, her line. And I was just like, you know, we aren't able to do that at all, because you're taking over her number into your name. It's not something we can do. He's like, why would I want to take her number and pay that amount of money? And I thought, is this man reflecting it from to me to her? Because, you know, like, she's in the background like, baby, you know, like, calm down, you know. And I'm thinking, this is the man trying to tell you he doesn't want to take ownership by screaming and shouting, because he ain't gonna get his own way. And you're adamant he's willing to pay for it. So every sentence he was getting at me, like, why should I pay for it at that price? Why should I pay for that number? Why should I take it over? I'm not gonna take it over until you lower the price. And I was thinking to myself, you've offered her something. You've offered your missus to take over her line and pay for it in your name. And now you're screaming and shouting at the agent when they've told you the price of her monthly contract every single month. And now you want to scream at me and reflect and bounce these questions to me, to her. Like, I was just like to him, unfortunately, I'm unable to advise you of that question because she ain't my missus. I don't know nothing about her. Why you want to pay for it? I don't know her. I don't know why you don't want to pay it. Like, it can't just be the price, because regardless, if you're doing something lovely for your missus, then the price shouldn't matter, should it? So that was hilarious. Just imagine a strong Scottish accent screaming, why should I pay for her? Like, the words were slipping out, and I just couldn't stop laughing, because she's in the background, you know, trying to console him, calm him down. And I was thinking, don't you hear the phrasing of the sentence here? Like, in my head, of course, like, I'm not gonna say it out loud, even though I'm like, girl, can you hear him? But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it here today, because I don't really want to say too much in regards to how getting personal with a customer can affect the agents, and they just don't care. They don't care. They get a bonus per sale. Why would they care? They get a bonus per every sale. And even if it's not every sale, they get a bonus if you promote a sale. So why would they care? They get paid £2 more, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's £2 more or so yeah, why would you care? You're doing your job, right? Yeah, I'm gonna leave it off here today and just say they need to invest in some therapy teaching for call center agents, because not every call center agent is trained under the basis somebody is talking about killing themselves, or somebody is talking about what they feel like they're going to do to someone else, or someone is talking about what's affected them in this certain way. Does that make sense to you? You need to start training agents. I think life is predominantly gonna get worse, because look at the inflation. Anyway, I don't like talking about that type of stuff, but yeah, you know, people's mindset is gonna get worse in these type of predicaments. So I assume a lot more of those calls would probably call in if they've already started. But yeah, we're gonna leave it here.